Walker, if you want to take this seat here. Make yourself comfortable. We got a few of the members on Zoom in front of you. I know it's kind of weird with the way we're spread out, but probably how it is now with COVID. Just make yourself comfortable, and when you're ready, just give us a couple minutes about who you are and why you want to be a county judge in St. Johns County.
Great, thank you. My name is Blocker, and I want to be a county court judge because I have a strong desire to serve. My family is one that values public service. I served as a judicial law clerk for 5 years. My husband serves in the Army National Guard. I'm interested in this particular position because I have the skills to be a county judge, and it's the best way to serve the most people in my community. I am uniquely qualified for this position in 2 ways. First, I am a kind of generalist. I've studied different areas of law and gotten most of that experience being a law clerk. Beginning in law school, I was an intern for a circuit court judge and a Florida Supreme Court justice. In these roles, I worked on motions for post-conviction relief and a variety of Florida appellate issues. As a federal law clerk, almost every matter that I worked on was a different area of the law, both civil and criminal. I researched issues of law, drafted bench memoranda, orders, reports and recommendations, assisted with and attended court proceedings, and served as a legal advisor to the judges. I learned how to think on my feet and apply the rules of evidence. These judges taught me the importance of case management, the right judicial temperament, and the role of a judge in mentoring young attorneys. I also experienced private practice right out of law school, working for 2 solo practitioners on a high volume of civil matters. I drafted complaints, answers, motions, responses, attended ex parte hearings, and tried a civil case. I'm also uniquely qualified because I've been an in-house attorney. So I have been the client managing collections work. I have also spoken to non-lawyers. I advise external clients on what their risks are with a particular deal, and I manage a high volume of contracts, often under tight time constraints. All of these experiences together provide me with a 360-degree view of the legal system that would serve me well as a county court judge. But although I have valued my private practice, my in-house counsel experience, I want to return to public service. I live in St. Johns County and my children go to school here. I'm an active member and volunteer of my community in both legal and non-legal ways. On the legal side, I volunteer with St. Johns County Legal Aid, a nonprofit that serves military veterans. I am also a member of the St. Augustine Inn of Court and the St. Johns County Women's Lawyers Association. On the non-legal side, I am an active member of my church, a Rotary Club member. I sit on the Sheriff's Advisory Council, which is known as SHADCO, and I'm a board member of the Cultural Center of Ponte Vedra. I want to serve because I believe it's the best way that I can help my community, and it's also worth noting that I can defend the seat in any election. I thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and I look forward to your questions.
I got to bet you and go through your application. In case anyone didn't read, talk to us about the bar exam. I thought that was impressive.
Yeah, I was invited to give a speech at the Florida Supreme Court, selected based on my bar score. So that was a great experience. Obviously, taking the bar wasn't any fun, but I worked hard and studied and did very well.
My understanding, you had the top score in the state.
Yes.
No. And I also, talking to some of your references with the community service, talk to us about the K-9 Warriors group that you're involved with, because I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, so there's a parent association that K-9 for Warriors is a part of, and they provide treatment for veterans with PTSD by giving them service dogs. So I reviewed event contracts for them. They have a big conference every year where they have sponsorships and things that they do raise money and also awareness for what they do.
And you mentioned briefly electability. Obviously, unfortunately we've had a couple the judges we put up not win re-election, so that's obviously important. And a county judgeship, I guess you'd be running in a couple of years. So talk to us about your electability, and I know your husband's on the campaign, but
Sure.
with your experience.
So I think the most important thing that a county judge can do to retain their seat is to do a good job. Treat everyone with respect, and make sure everyone gets an opportunity to be heard. Then I think you stay involved in the community. Once you take the bench, you continue to participate in of court and other activities where you're visible to the community. And then when you're up for election, you work hard. As you mentioned, I did work on my husband's campaign. I know how big the county is, from JTV and A1A all the way down to Hastings and Elkton. So I'm comfortable knocking on doors. It's not always the most fun thing to do, but it's nice to get out there and talk to voters and, you know, make your case for why you should stay on the bench.
And, you know, as you were saying, you're well-rounded, you probably have a more diverse or certainly different background than a lot of our applicants. The only thing, you know, I've seen is the trial, you know, not a lot of trial experience. Just, you know, talk to us about what you have had and how you'd overcome that in doing trials as a county judge.
Sure, yeah. So I think my experience is only limited in the traditional sense. So having been a law clerk, I've seen the entire life of a case, both civil and criminal. And when I assist a trial, I'm researching whatever the pretrial motions are, drafting bench memoranda for the judge. We have instant messaging, so if there's an issue that comes up, a motion for mistrial based on, let's say, an improper comment on the defendant's right to silence, I might research that. And then the charge conference, obviously, I've drafted the jury instructions and any post-trial motions for new trial. I also think it's worth noting that while trials are a very important part of what a county court judge does, they're only a small percentage of the workload. And I did meet with the clerk of court and looked over the docket numbers, and it looks like the civil cases are almost 2 to 1 compared to the criminal cases. So I do think having that motion experience will help me to be a county court judge.
Ms. Blocker, good morning. It's Chris Green. Just as a sort of a follow-up to the question John just asked. Have you had occasion to sit in on and observe a judge or a proceeding recently? And if so, can you just tell us about that?
Yes, yeah. So I've been observing Judge Tinlin and a little bit of just Judge Christine, but I've had a lot of opportunity to observe Judge Tinlin. First appearances, arraignments, traffic court, the type of infractions, animal control, also the orders. Once a month, the judges do orders to show cause for lack of prosecution on civil cases, which is a way to move the docket. So I've had a lot of opportunity to do that and have learned a great deal from watching them.
Lauren, my name is Mark Stanton. I've got a couple of questions, but the first one is kind of a strange one. You've just been appointed by the governor, and you're new to the county judge here, and your first case is somebody doing 96 miles an hour on the highway. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to look at the law and...
And I actually am referring to you.
Oh, I get...
Well, no. I noticed that you have an unlawful speeding ticket for 96 miles an hour.
Oh, from college?
Yes. So how would you handle that case now? We mature. I understand we mature.
Okay.
And we recognize.
Yes, yeah, that was my freshman year of college.
I noticed
from
that.
Gainesville to Miami. But you're right. I think a judge, you know, takes into account what is the age of the person,
Yeah.
what are the circumstances, you know, what is the offer as far as, you know, lowering it, or I think you just take into account all your experiences and the history of the person.
Why were you going 96?
You know what, my brain wasn't fully developed yet. It doesn't happen until you're 25. And I thought it was worth the extra, you know, 30
I'm sorry
minutes.
to put you in that position. But
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
I haven't thought about that in a while.
we actually get these FDLE reports. I have a second part question, and I'm the only non-attorney in this whole group. What is a Federalist Society?
Oh, it's a society that basically a lot of attorneys that feel the same way about the application of the law, namely originalism. They get together, have conferences, discussions about legal issues, you know, how you would interpret statutes in the Constitution.
Thank you.
Ms. Blocker, question for you. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I didn't want to spread COVID to you. So.
Thank you.
You know, I was talking with a judge about you and trying to, during the vetting process, and they asked a question that I thought I should ask you. Why county? Your experience seems like it would be better in some ways as a federal magistrate or a circuit court judge or an appellate court judge. Why county? And is this a stepping stone to one of those?
So I don't know what the future holds, but this is the position that interests me. The thing I love about county court, there's actually several things. One is you get to work on a different area of the law every day, whether it's replevin, garnishment, small claims, traffic, animal control, DUIs, driving, suspended license, all of that every day is different. There's also a high volume of cases, and I feel that it would be the best way for me to make a difference in the community. A lot of these people, this is their first time, hopefully their only time in court, and I think being there, having a positive impact, and giving somebody, faith in the legal system, that they get their opportunity to be heard, and if their case moves quickly, they can move forward with their lives.
I have one more follow-up question for you. There has been a movement across the country to get rid of the cash bond system. The state of Florida still has the cash bond system. What is, as a county court judge, at least the way it currently works, they do a lot of the first appearances. So what are your feelings about the cash bond system? And do you think you would be comfortable handling those hearings every day?
Yeah, I think you would apply the rules. As I understand it, the Seventh Circuit has a bond schedule. I would follow that. I know there are certain offenses where, capital offenses where there would be no bond. I think you would just look at, what are the circumstances that you can assure somebody appears back in court and what will protect the community. So I think as a judge, you work within the confines of what the law is that you're given.
Any other questions?
I do have a question regarding the use of technology. If you're selected to the bench, how do you envision the use of technology in your courtroom during COVID and hopefully post-COVID at some point?
Right, so I know there's been a lot of Zoom hearings lately, and I think that there are advantages and disadvantages to that. One, I would expect would continue would be for first appearances, not having to transport the inmates to court. There's safety and security reasons that it's easier to kind of zoom in. And I think maybe for statuses, you would see, I think prior to COVID, attorneys were able to appear by phone for statuses, so that might be something that's worth continuing. Maybe for, arraignments and criminal statuses, I could see the advantage to being in the courtroom and maybe having those conversations between prosecutor and defense attorney in between hearings. But I think, especially as somebody who works for a fintech company now, I'm open to using it. I'm comfortable with technology. I think we have such a volume of cases that everything that we can do to move things quicker, we should take advantage of, as long as there's no detriment to, the defendant in a criminal case or any of the litigants.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone?
Lauren, you touched on this in the beginning, but kind of from one in-house counsel to another. I know you handle a variety of things in both in-house positions you've had. Can you just go over those with me?
Yeah, sure. So when I was at Southeastern Grocers, that was a full variety of different things. It was contracts, but also compliance, labor and employment, payroll, real estate transactions. So it was just a whole host of things. And I was advising, internal clients. And then at FIS, I'm doing a high volume of technology contracts. A lot of our clients are banks, so they're in a highly regulated environment. And just, advising as disputes come up, hey, we got this contract, this is what we thought it said, now the client's saying this, and trying to get out of liquidated damages, that kind of thing. So just really analyzing contracts, communicating with clients, kind of helping resolve when you're on a call and things tend to get a little heated between sales or the business, the internal folks, and maybe the client. Just being able to bring the temperature down and bring everybody to a resolution is skills that I see that are transferable.
Can you tell us a little bit about your externship with Justice Polston?
Yeah, so that was my last semester in law school. So a lot of it was jurisdictional memoranda, but also I got the opportunity to observe all kinds of oral arguments on death penalty cases. Researching interlocutory appeals was an issue that I handled. So just a whole wide variety of state of Florida issues.
Ms. Blocker, I see from your application you were second chair for a jury trial. Tell me a little bit about that experience and what you learned.
Yeah, so I believe it was 4 days, 1 day of jury selection and 3 days of trial, and I learned a lot about the importance of how your client acts in a trial is one. because basically it was a dispute, breach of contract, and it was involving a real estate agent, and then the defendants were the clients who were trying to sell this commercial property. The real estate agent did not sell the commercial property, but still brought a suit against my client, and one of the evidentiary issues was the emails between the two parties, were they hearsay or not, and the argument that I made was that it was a course of performance, essentially. And the plaintiff ultimately won, and so I think the biggest takeaway that I had from that was the unpredictability of a jury. The jury actually asked the judge if they could award the plaintiff more than what the plaintiff was asking for. So it didn't come across to the jury that the plaintiff actually wasn't doing anything to sell the property. And part of that, I think, was because the client was distracted, our client was distracted, looking down at her phone and seeming disinterested, and I just learned a lot in general from that experience, how a courtroom operates, how the jury interacts, and it was a good experience.
Anybody else? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much for this opportunity, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blocker. And running ahead of schedule.